All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you had a wonderful day. We're going to get straight into it today because the market is getting weird. We were just talking on the yesterday video about the Strait of Hormuz and what we woke up today. This was a big reason why we went down, but I'm telling you, there has been just day after day since the beginning of the week, a lot of headlines. We had everything from a couple of bad bank earnings, decent earnings out of some consumer stocks. You had good Chinese data that got zero reaction. You're even getting data after hours right now with Japan. We got updates on the Israel situation, people canceling their meetings with Biden. There is a lot that we are waking up to every morning, and all the while, just look at this step down, man. The stair stepper down on the bonds every single day. We're going to go over all of that, but there is a lot to juggle right now. But what happened in the morning? This was the big piece of news. We're talking about it yesterday, but this morning, the Iranian foreign minister called on sanctions or an embargo against Israel. So oil at one point was up 3%, but pull out the chart and you see today, it's really weird how it traded, and borderline by the middle of the day, markets were doing their thing and oil didn't really react too much, even though I think it was a positive gain just considering with how it all played out. But that was very wild. And then to top it all off, you had a crazy beat out of Netflix earnings, and then Tesla did not do as hot. So Chad, we're going to recap all of it. I'm going to go over that, and I also have the calendar for you, and don't let me ruin it, but you have Jerome Powell tomorrow. So we'll see you live on stream. Drop that thumbs up. Here's this stream, youtube.com/the stock market. God bless you all. Run it, baby.
Working to the couch, it's the 2020 election. Live in the hills, but still get a spread. Started with a little, but it's still reinvested. Feel how I feel, then you feel like it's a blessing. I just want the lesson, I just want protection. I'm up and I'm down, but they sound like progression. Farmer never plans if he waits for perfection. Finger to the down, hold it.
But right off the bat, I already dropped a lot on you. A lot of people were asking, why is the market going down? Why is the market going down today? The answer in my mind, it boiled down to that Iranian comment and the global tensions really heating up, because after the hospital yesterday, Egypt and all the different countries canceling those meetings, things got a little contentious. But even then, though, it's getting to the point where you're already talking about those embargoes. We were just saying yesterday how that's like a black swan, and it is a really low probability, but you are watching this thing boil over. And then on top of it, the earnings this morning were not too hot. Morgan Stanley wasn't that good. There was even Citizens Financial and Ally Bank for the regionals or smaller financials. It wasn't a good sign at all. And don't forget last night with UAL, they even gave the guidance this morning. It was lower. It was a drag on all the airlines, travel, and everything was taking the hit. But now, that being said, in part of today and explaining everything going on, the difficult part of explaining things is that today had a very strong undertone of geopolitical tensions. There was a headline we read in the morning, and it was talking about the lack of patterns during these wartime events for risk assets, and it's just very, very hard to read. And even historically, you're not really going to get anything out of this. Again, every day we've been reacting to one thing, then reacting to the other. So I'm hoping by this video I could just show you some things and make sure you keep everything in line. But there is a phenomena right now going on, and that's the first thing I want to direct you towards is, one, we're talking about oil and what's going on with conflict, even in Ukraine, wartime issues. Oil moving, this has usually been a signal. That's number one. And then good old gold. I'm sure you've heard about that. Peter Schiff, you get worried by the gold. It's the number one currency, the oldest in the world, whatever the reason may be. But people get fearful. They buy gold. And then you have another safe haven called the bonds. Even TLT, you've seen us hit it before. It's known. Things go wrong. The market, they cut rates. TLT, the bonds end up loving it. People are fearful. They go to buy the bonds. So what do you notice about what's going on today? You have equities, and the market's been doing its own thing, but every single day now, and especially if you start to pull the chart out, you're seeing what's going on with bonds. The yields keep going higher and higher. The bonds are going down. When yields are going higher, you're seeing this go up. This is why I like using the ETF instead of showing you the yields, even though I'm going to go show you those yields. The point is, it's just showing you nobody's buying it. That's why. So this is what you have to see today. Oil, people kind of bought it on the tensions, but not really. they're buying up gold since the beginning of all of this starting, even regardless of what has happened to the dollar or interest rates. Because, again, even the dollar as a safe haven, you've watched that go up, but they are not buying bonds. This is where the story gets wild because you've already sold off the bonds, but if this trend continues and in the midst of the tensions and earnings, that's what's making things very interesting. So the next thing I want you to understand, and it's part of what we've been going through, is really since the end of July, why did we start dropping? What started happening here? This was all the story with rates and bonds and Powell and higher for longer and the data. And remember, oil was going up before any global tensions, and we were worried about other reasons for inflation going up. This was the whole July, pretty much the whole summer, and yields, they started rocketing up from July from 3.8, and now today, this is the 10-year, we're almost at that 5. Remember, just not too long ago, the beginning of October, 4.75 to 4.8, we were worried about hitting 5. Well, remember, that's that number we were looking for. Do we go to 5 or do we stay below it? And then what happens? Does something break or not? If we get that answer, we're going to see the markets either take it in stride or react very negatively. But now we are starting to creep up closer. Even today, the 20-year bond, they're all breaking out. I have to bring this up because we talked about it today, but if you've been watching some of these videos, that 2001, 2006, at this point, it is clear. We did that little fake pause just like 1999 to 2000, 2001, and what ended up happening, the yield started going crazy versus kind of topping out like 2006. Remember, for a little bit of this year, all the way up until like April, May, it wasn't until June, July it broke out, and then now it's clear to see. So we've been watching all of this, but this is what I want you to understand, because all the way up until this pop of October 6th, we were responding to the yields. So the global conflict and now whatever happened to oil, and this is where it gets weird because, again, we were talking about this right here, October 4th, 2-3 days before. It got to the point, even though we were worried in rates and oil and all that, remember, oil just started dying out of nowhere as people got worried on those global concerns. This right here, 2 days before the Israel conflict, what happened, you had the biggest down day of oil since like 2022, September 2022. So the point I'm trying to say here is that all of this leading up until here, there was just so many other things that we were reacting to, and what the main reason of that volatility was, it was the bonds. So now, today, you wake up, there's a lot of global tensions, crazy events yesterday, it's spilling over in a day, you're hearing all these comments, but then at the same time, you're watching people buy safe havens, the dollar's up, all the other currencies are getting smashed, but meanwhile, this little bond yield thing is still dying. So now you got to really juggle which one the market is reacting to, and we've even talked about it, even leading into October, just like last year, there may be a period where the bonds don't respond, but it's starting to get interesting here because you're watching other safe havens get bid. Now, granted, I will say the yen and Swiss franc, they're not moving the same way because the dollar. So maybe once you watch the currency safe havens come to life, maybe the bonds will. But for now, this is the juggling that we are doing, and moving forward, it's going to get interesting because we have all of earnings season and we still have a lot going forward. So now, coming into tomorrow and how we're going to move, maybe this is the problem we have with the market right now, but I would argue earnings season is done, at least for this week, up until next week. So you're going to get names tomorrow. I do think after TSM and reacting to these, and we'll see what some of these banks do after today and watch for any consumer hints. But obviously, a lot of the market focuses on the big dogs. So next week, you're going to be running into a lot more of those bigger names. That's when we're going to really start moving. So as far as the calendar for the rest of this week, it's Jerome Powell tomorrow. Not much data on Friday. We'll see how you carry into Netflix earnings good and if Tesla's bad. And then we go from there and see what happens. But Chad, that is everything. I do have a couple of plays. I made a play on VKTX. I walked away with I think 400 shares. I averaged like 1040. Still holding that. I'm still in those Netflix Netflix, I'm glad I held those. Got to make up some of the loss. I'm still down on it, but I am liking that tomorrow, even after the conference call and everything else. Everything is looking actually very surprised. Honestly, who is buying Netflix? I mean, what did they say? It was better than expected cancellation churn from the whole membership thing. But my goodness, my goodness. But that one, I'll take it. I'll take that one in stride. But gonna be watching that. I got clapped on the UAL, but this was the dilemma now because I want to close out one of these if I could get out of them because I've been looking at an oil play. I'm still in this old Husa, and literally today this thing came back surprisingly out of nowhere, and we're still in the Oxy plays, but oil, I mean, it's doing one of those things where you're getting like huge events. It's not moving. Maybe by this week it doesn't move, and then next week we really see the oil move. So we'll see how we could set up behind it, but oil is definitely piquing my attention. But for now, I want to see how we're going to set up into October if we're going to get trapped into all of this, but it's really, are we going to be responding to bonds, or does a global tension break out that we have to respond to at the same time? And then we'll see where bonds are at. But then by that point, I think we'll even get some other volatility plays and really know what's going on. But Chad, stay in the game. The market is getting exciting right now, so get locked in. But that is your watch list, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure Hydrate Healthy ready to go. Make sure post your watch list. Make sure we see you there in the morning. I need the armor on. I need the helmet shining. And I need you to remember, don't be blinded by the hate. You got to listen. That's all. Don't be blinded. But honestly, it's not even just about listening, man. It's about don't turn people away from the truth. And are you talking to listen? Are you talking to understand? Are you talking just to put somebody in the ground? I could go on for days about it, but all in all, man, it's love. And show the right heart, the right spirit, man. Show mercy. And at the same time, if you've been shown mercy, take that in stride. I've been saying that a lot on this video. I like that. Take that in stride. Maybe that's the end of the day, Philo. But Chad, I love you. Have a wonderful evening. God bless you all. And Horn.